Has someone started fucking mowing?
As if.
Oh, they stopped.
Okay, cool. Let's go.
Okay, someone was just mowing in the background. But we're back. Hi, guys.
Hey, guys.
They're still mowing. Go away. Someone was whippersnippering at like 10 a.m. on a Sunday.
Oh, no.
So yesterday when I rolled out of bed, I know, and I was like, bitch, I'm not having
have a sleep
here.
in.
Are you kidding?
How dare
Anyway,
they?
I thought that was extremely disrespectful, but it was probably my sign to get out of bed.
All right, guys. Now that we have established that there is some mowing going on outside, sorry if you can hear it. I feel like people are always inconveniently like making noises outside when we try to record. Like we finally get into it, and next minute like something goes, there's like a bird or like sirens or motorbikes, whatever it might be. But anyway, that's just what happens when you can't record in a studio. But it's okay.
Well, like, how dare you make noise in your own property?
Yeah, literally.
With your own time. Anyway, we're back in your ears for another episode. We know you missed our voices, and today we are going to be talking about accountability. And this, can I just say, is Keely's episode to a T. I literally felt like I was getting roasted by my boss before. She was like, all right, you have not been productive this week. You have not done what you needed to do for the podcast. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, go off, queen, like give it to me. Literally, I deserved it because she is the person that is the most on top of anything ever. If you say, Keely, get this done, she'll get it done and she'll do it probably twice as good as what you even wanted it to be. So round of applause for you, Kills, and I feel like this is just such an episode that you need to take the reins on. And here we go. You're going to hear part 2 of Ash getting roasted by Keely in this episode.
Okay, I just have to say, I'm actually really proud of her because in the past, like when I say in the past, like we're talking high school era, Ash like could not take feedback. Like if you said to her like, I really don't like it when you speak to me like this. Like, no matter how nice you said it, she'd be like, well, I don't like it when you do this. And suddenly, like, it was your fault. And you're like, oh, far out. Like, okay. So, like, for a while there, I was actually quite scared to speak up and tell her, like, how I feel. But just then I was like, not to, like, call you out. And she just stops me and she goes, no, please call me out. Like, I need you to call me out and roast me. So I just was like, okay, well, when you did this, it makes me feel like this and blah, blah, blah. And she just sat there and she took it. And she was like, you're right. And I was like, oh, the growth. I'm so impressed. So I'm very proud of you.
Why, thank you. Thank you very much. No, but I feel like I really did used to be that person. I could never take criticism, constructive feedback, any kind of feedback, and I would always take it so personally, and I would have like my guns like blazing, like I was ready to go to war. But I feel like that's just something coming into an adult and being able to really go, okay, I'm never going to grow without change. And sometimes change just comes with, you know, being told you could do things better or you need to change your attitude towards certain things. So thank you, Kills.
You're so welcome.
And thank you for the roast.
Oh, you're
Feel
very
free
welcome.
anytime.
Well, I guess like the instant tea for today is that Ash and I just had, a full discussion, but like that could have been an argument, but wasn't. And she just said like, that's on being an adult. Like sometimes you just have to go, you know what? They're right. Like maybe I do need to improve X, Y, and Z. But we were just like, went on a full tangent because both of us were just like far out. Like, why can't we record today? Like, you know, usually we said, okay, this is the time we're going to start recording. And we haven't been the best at like being ready on time just because things happen. It's fine. But we're like, okay, if we're going to make this podcast happen, we need to start being ready at this time, having these things prepared, make sure makeup's done, like not be so easy on ourselves and be like, oh, we've got hours to do it. Like you actually have to be like, okay, if this was my job, if I wasn't ready on time and I was late for work, what would happen? There'd be consequences, right? Sometimes when you are in charge of your own project or you're in charge of your own business or whatever it is, it's very easy to just let things slide and go, oh, I'm tired today. I can't be bothered. I'm not feeling passionate about it, which is something that we were just discussing. When you first come up with a project or an idea, it's very easy to be super, super excited about it because you have that like initial drive, motivation, like you feel so excited about it that you're like, I could do anything and everything for this project right now. But there comes a point where there's no longer that drive and that motivation. Like you just have to go, all right, if I want to make this happen, I've got to do it myself. And you have to be accountable and you have to just, you know, what's the word?
Proactive.
Yeah, proactive. You have to be proactive and sometimes force yourself to do things that you don't necessarily feel like doing. But the reality is, like, if you love something, that passion and that drive will always come back. But it's always going to go through those ebbs and flows of times where you feel super, super, super good about it. And other times where you're like, oh my God, I could literally give up right now. Like I wouldn't care if I stop doing this thing. So anyway, long story short, we had a full conversation about it just then, and 3 hours that we were supposed to be podcasting turned into a motivational chat, and Ash was like, oh my God, this is the episode. So welcome to the accountability episode. Today, I think we're going to be doing tips and tricks on what to do to make things happen, to be productive, to stay organized.
And by we, it's going to be Keely.
Ash is actually just like writing down her notes.
I'm just sitting here. I'm like, I need to get a fucking, literally Keely just said to me before, you need to buy a whiteboard because it's like, you could text and annoy me about everything and I'm like, need it plastered across the fucking screen. But yeah, I'm going to be sitting here with my notebook and taking some juicy notes so I can learn a thing or two.
She's about to go make a cup of tea and like tuck herself in and listen.
Bedtime story. But Keely just talking about productivity. It's Keely's TED Talk, actually. Yeah, that's a good, Keely's TED Talk. That's a good title for this episode.
Okay, well, welcome to my TED Talk, everyone. What do I want to get into first? I think I'd like to talk about teamwork a little bit, like collaboration and yeah, like how it's been an interesting journey to like work on a project with someone so close to you. So like obviously if you think back to primary school, you get given a group project, like you've always got someone that kind of takes the role of like a team leader, someone that's usually quite creative. You usually have someone that's like quite happy to take the back seat, let everyone do everything for them and then they'll take the credit. Who else? You usually have like a person that might be like a little bit bossy, someone that's just like okay to go with the flow but probably feels a little bit like, oh, nobody's like listening to my ideas. Like I always find that there's like a very interesting dynamic within groups when it's coming like to teamwork and things like that. I definitely have always been the bossy person that's like, all right, we are doing this. Everybody sit down. You've got this task. You're going to be in charge of this. Like, I feel like, I don't know. I've always been like a little bit like of a, maybe not like a leader, but definitely bossy.
See, I feel like I was always a person that was like, wasn't giving everything for it, but I had like a cool, like couple little creative ideas and I was like, yeah, that would work really well. But really in hindsight, wasn't like sitting there typing out the whole project or writing friggin' essays about it or anything. I don't know. I feel like that dynamic is really interesting to think about because when you kind of look back at your childhood and like how you interacted in these settings, it definitely does mimic how you are now as an adult. And I guess it's also just changes. Like you might be one way naturally. And for example, like Keely is someone that's really switched on. I'm good to go at this time. And I am a bit of a snail and I take a little bit longer to do things because I'm like, oh, gotta get out of bed, like gotta make my cup of tea, like I'll take my time to do it. But really it's also about implementing changes in your everyday life to become the person that you want. And if you're not that person naturally, but you want to be that person, nothing's going to change by just sitting around doing nothing.
Oh, I love that take.
Wow, I'm so inspiring.
No, I love that. No, she's so right. Like people talk about like your inner child and like childhood trauma a lot. But if you think about the way that you took on projects and the way that you acted, you know, in primary school, high school, it genuinely does change the way that your trajectory in life is. Coming back to what I was saying about communication. Communication, I know people always say communication is key, but it's literally the most true thing that there is. Because the reality is if you only ever, say you're the person that tends to take on most of the workload, if you just kind of keep going like that, internally you're probably going to start to get quite frustrated with the other person because you're like, oh, this isn't fair. That other person might have no clue that you're feeling that way. And, you know, that could become a make or break situation because one day if you snap at them and go, well, I don't want to do this anymore because I've done this and you haven't done this, you haven't even given them the opportunity to be better. So coming back, if you talk to them in the right way about like things that they could improve on and like also are somebody that is like willing to take on feedback themselves, that partnership is just going to grow and become stronger and stronger and stronger. And you guys are like just only ever going to go up. But on the other hand, if you are just like not willing to express how you feel or you express it in the wrong way, that's literally like going to be the end of like that project, that partnership, that business, whatever it might be.
I also just wanted to you can talk. You've been granted to talk.
You have been granted.
I also just wanted to quickly add on to that as well. Like if you're someone that can dish out the feedback but not take it themselves, that's also really important too. Especially not even just with like collaborating, but even just if you're someone that like is working for another person. So like if your boss is wanting to give you feedback, and if, you know, if you're wanting to give the company feedback or your team members feedback, you need to be so open to those people also being able to reflect back on you.
I completely agree with Ash. If you're not willing to take on feedback and like better yourself, you're probably going to get fired. And that's just the reality of life. You've got to be open to change and not let yourself get stuck in your ways, not just like believe that you're the best best at X, Y, and Z, or like think that you're doing the best you can, because reality is you can always, and this sounds so like brutal. No, the reality is you can always do better. You can always grow. You can always change. And there's always areas to improve on. So like, I think that the best way you can be in life is just be open to constructive criticism. I was going to say just criticism. That's a bit harsh.
What I would also like to hear from you, Keely, is that sounded so formal.
She's interviewing
I feel like I'm a radio host today or like on the news or something. Keely, over to you. What I'd really like to hear is like some of your top tips. I know that you're someone that lives by a calendar, and I don't know, I feel like I was never a calendar girly. Whenever I had a special date or a special function or anything that I needed to know, it would always go into my notes app. And I feel like that's kind of rebellious now. Like as an adult, I'm like, whoa, how did I live my life like this? When I had shifts at work, like in high school, I'd literally just write it in my notes app.
Honestly, fair. It's actually quite a productive system, I think.
Talk us through utilizing apps. So calendar, notes. I mean, we have got an app just designated for our podcast. But talk us through apps.
Okay, my best friend, apart from Ash, is Google Calendar. I literally love Google Calendar. I like that it syncs up to like everything, because I'm well and truly into the Apple ecosystem. I have like too many devices.
What the fuck?
Way too many devices. I'm literally using all Apple devices right now. But the thing is, Google is like so well integrated with Apple, and like all of the apps are so like user friendly, and like they connect across all of your devices. It connects to my Fitbit, like it goes through to Apple Calendar. Oh, it's just so good. But I just really like that Google Calendar, like you can change the view from like week to day to month, things like that, like based on like what you prefer. And like you can put all your own little colors in it. You can share your calendar with friends. Like you can book appointments. Like it's just so user friendly. And I feel like maybe it's not everybody's aesthetic. Like I know Ash has another app called Ermine.
Oh my God, stop it. Ermine. Okay.
Tell us about Ermine.
Okay, I love Ermine. It's just, I don't like the Google Calendar setting, and I've got like a hell about OCD with like how things are laid out and presented. Like if it doesn't make sense in my brain, it's not going to go through well with me. So I use an app called Ermine, and I resonate emojis with like what I'm doing. So like a black heart is like the days that I work, and then a birthday cake is like someone's birthday. And then if I'm going out for dinner that night, if it's like Italian, I have to have like a pasta emoji or something. Like that sounds really stupid, but like if I'm doing a workout, if I'm going for a walk, it has to be like the walking emoji girl or something, like, or a Pilates mat or something like that. Like I resonate colors and emojis to certain dates and times.
No, I totally agree. A lot of people resonate colors with like topics and things like that. It kind of comes us back to that episode where we were talking about like your school book colors, like maths is blue,
oh
English
yeah,
is like that whole
the school book debate.
It's the same thing. That's like what we were just saying about like the way you work in school kind of translates into your adult life. But truly, like colors just like spark things for certain people, and I think it helps with memory a lot. You're gonna think I'm a psychopath, but I have Google Calendar. I have a physical calendar on my wall, mostly just because it's got pretty pictures of the ocean. I actually don't really use that calendar, but I like to see the dates. I have a physical diary from Typo. I highly recommend the Typo diaries. They're super like, they're just like really aesthetic. They got like cute colors. They also like have like all this stuff about like your star signs, and they've got like questions, like bucket list to do for the year. Like they have like little fun things. You know what Typo's like. They're just, yeah, they're a bit like that. Google Calendar, like I said, bestie. That's what I put absolutely everything on, like my work schedule, any plans that I have, like kind of my day-to-day like planner. But coming back to the notes app thing, I actually find that your notes app can be like a really, really useful tool, because I find that I like to write out, like even just like physically, like in a book or something, like on a whiteboard, a calendar, whatever it might be, physically write or type out exactly what I have to do for that week. And it kind of like helps with my memory. So I'm like, all right, I'm not going to refer to my calendar right now. I'm just going to write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, to-do list, what time is work, things I have to achieve for that day. Like that's what I kind of use my notes for. But I just find that like trying to remember things from the top of your head and then just like writing them down physically like helps with memory, because it's like that whole look, cover, write, check thing. Same thing. Like I literally think it's the most useful tool.
Oh my gosh, I haven't heard that in such a long time. What the hell?
Yeah, I know. That's like such a primary school thing. But like, it's just like a school topic today. But seriously, like,
it's the fundamentals. Like I feel like it sets you up so well for everything. And also on the topic of that, like I want to talk about productivity with bills. I mean, okay, productivity for us, I know a lot of our friends at university, so I feel like this isn't quite the episode for you if that's your situation, as that I feel like for productivity, for like studying and all that, like takes a whole different ballpark. But for us, I feel like more of the adult daily life. So working, extracurricular activities, fitness, but also bill skills. Like, how do you handle that?
Yeah, honestly, use the exact same two systems between Notes app and Google Calendar. So with bills, if a bill is due on Google Calendar, instead of having like set to a time, I just have it as like all day, and it comes up at the very top of that day. So like when I go to my calendar, I'm like, okay, what day of the week is it? Great, it's Thursday. Rent's due on Thursday, maybe like an afterpay is coming out, whatever it might be. As soon as I know a bill is due on whatever date, I just make it go to the very top of my calendar. So it's the first thing that I see. And then coming back to Ash's thing, like emojis, like once I've paid that bill, I just come back to that bill and I put a little green tick next to it just so that I know that like, yep, I've paid that's done. And I also have it in my Notes app, double cross check. I go in and I delete it or I tick it to say like that's done as well. I feel like I'm one of those people that really likes crossing things off a list. Like it makes me go, yeah, I achieved something. So like, yeah, I usually have it in multiple places just to like make sure like I 100% definitely did it.
And where do you find the time to do all this? I feel like days for me really resonate well with organizing myself and being productive. So like, for example, my partner and I on Sundays, I know we do a house reset. So we're going to be cleaning. We clean out the fridge, we go, do what we need to do for grocery shopping, paying bills, like all of that sort of stuff. So we also sit down and we have a meeting. What are some events coming up for the weekend that we need to be aware of? Anything that we desperately like need for the house today that we haven't already put in our grocery list. And so for me, I feel like it's quite common to have Sunday be the weekly reset, I feel like. Where do you find the time to do this?
Look, I do work weekends, but both of my jobs, like neither of them are open on like a Sunday afternoon. So I do find I avoid making like social plans on Sundays because I'm just kind of like, I'm the same thing. I love a Sunday reset. So like usually what I'll do on a Sunday is I get out my physical diary and I write down every single thing that I know like from the top of my head that I need to do in the week because I like to physically write it down. This is something I'd really like to do a whole episode about, but like self-care, you have to schedule that into your schedule. You get so busy. Like it's hard to remember sometimes like, oh, I really wanted to read that book. You actually do have to schedule in time for yourself to remember to do those things, or like even just like, yeah, like heading to the beach or going getting an ice cream with your boyfriend. Like I think, yeah, like all of those things are super important to actually take the time to schedule in throughout your week, because otherwise like I said, time just flies. It just doesn't happen. And that's like especially important with this is another thing we're going to do an episode about is like long distance relationships and friendships. Like if you are away from your family or friends, suddenly a month's gone by and you haven't called somebody, like that genuinely does happen, especially when you don't see people super regularly anymore.
I think as well, also discussing productivity, it goes hand in hand with routine. You need to be someone that establishes using my calendar every single day or my Notes app as a routine. It won't just go, okay, like I've got to just do it. You need to remind yourself, I need to utilize these things, make it part of your routine, because that's the other part of productivity. Like you've got to, if you're not waking up every single day knowing what the week's going to throw at you, then you're going to be lost and confused.
And even just things like, they do say it takes, I think it's like 28 or 30 days to establish something new into your routine. If you really do want to like try for something, like you need to make it happen. You need to stick to it. Maybe that does mean that you have to like put a note on your mirror to remind yourself to do something because it's not quite part of your day-to-day yet. But like, it's just something you really have to prioritize, because otherwise you just will get stuck in your ways and just forget things or not do certain things that you want to do. And yeah, like Ash said, like, yeah, routine is like the most important part.
You know what? I know we've reflected so much on like our childhood and like what we've established growing up, but think about when your parents would have the whiteboard on the fridge going, okay, Monday after school, you come and you do this, you do your homework, you brush your teeth before bed. Remember, I didn't quite have the one where you have to go like check it off and like physically like do like a tick to check off that I've, packed my lunch for school the next day. But I did have one of those that was like, this is kind of like what we're doing for the week. I think it's important as well to just take inspiration and advice from others and go, that's a really good idea. I need to start incorporating that to my every single day routine.
Yeah, 100%. And then also just like looking up to the right people. Like I think it's just important to make sure that you're like establishing the correct things that like align with you and your values, rather than just like looking at the internet and going, oh, I should do that because everybody else is doing it, whatever. Like it is hard to work out like what the right way or the right routine habits, whatever they might be, are for you. Because the other thing is I find there's a lot of pressure on the internet when it comes to health, I guess. There's a whole different topic, but like waking up early, drinking your 3 liters of water, making sure that you do 15,000 steps a day. Like there are a lot of those sort of things that are like, yeah, like it's great to be doing $10,000. I'd love that much money per day. No, 10,000 steps per day. Like setting the correct targets for your personal circumstances, because waking up at 5 a.m. every day may not work for you. If you are somebody that finishes work at 7 p.m. every day, like Ash, waking up at 5 a.m. isn't necessarily like smart for her. Like, yeah, she might for a couple of days feel really good because she's woken up, seen the sunrise, gone for a run. But if she's not getting her 8 hours sleep and going to bed, skipping a meal so that she could wake up at 5 a.m. and things like that, like that's not the right healthy habit for you. And like water, you should still definitely be drinking more than 2 liters of water a day. I'm really bad with water. I'm gonna have a sip. I just saw your ASMR. No, but like drinking enough water is super important, but you also have to, maybe it's sometimes a good thing to consult with your doctor, because like I was trying to drink 3 liters of water a day, right? Because I was like, yeah, like 3 liters of water, like that's really good. I went to the doctor to get an ultrasound for something. I'm not pregnant, don't worry. Ash, I'm not pregnant, don't freak out.
I was gonna say they're all gonna sit there and go, what the fuck?
But I did have to get an ultrasound, and she gave me an ultrasound on my kidneys, and she was like, oh, I actually can't see the right thing on your kidneys right now because you're like, you've just drank way too much water. And I was like, oh my God, that's why I need to pee all the time. Like I was overhydrated because I was trying to drink 3 liters of water a day, and like that's maybe really good for some people, but obviously that's like way too much water for me. So like yeah, as much as like healthy habits and routine, like there is obviously like that ideal lifestyle, especially on like the internet right now, of like 5 a.m. wake up, go for your run, go see the sunrise, have your acai bowl. Like just make sure that you're doing things that are actually good for you and healthy for you and feel good for you as well. Just don't follow what Instagram says, is what I'm trying to say.
And healthy doesn't look the same on everyone. Their healthy might be a different version to your healthy. And even for these people doing this online, might not even be healthy for them, but they're just following what these influencers are doing every single day. But yeah, look, I think this is definitely an episode to touch on for another time, a completely separate sort of ballpark for us. We actually do have a personal trainer, which we would love to get on to just discuss nutrition and wellness and advice and all of that. Because again, I do feel like it comes into routine, productivity, you know, as long as you feel good inside and you start to feel good outside.
No, 100%. It's not like,
does that make sense?
I think you're trying to say like
anyway,
look good, feel good.
I'm trying to be really inspiring right now.
Feeling
It's
really
not
inspiring.
working.
No, you're so
But,
right.
yeah, I think it's also, I feel like coming back to, we always said this, coming back to our reason about the podcast and navigating life in your early 20s when you move out of home. No one teaches you exactly what you want your routine to look like. You're brought up learning what you should do by mum and dad, and then you go out into the real world and you're working every single day trying to make it your own lifestyle.
No, I 100% agree. And like I think it's really hard to sometimes navigate that and like actually work out what's best for you. Sometimes the thing that you thought was exactly what you wanted, like as a kid, or even just the way that you were raised, isn't necessarily like the actual lifestyle that you want to follow. And I think that it's really important to take the time to really step back and go, what do I actually want in my life? What job suits me best? What location suits me best? What does my ideal, like, I love talking about goals, because like obviously everybody has like their massive goals, like whether it be like I want this particular career, I want to move to Europe, I want to travel around the world, or I want to buy a house. Like it's so amazing to have those like milestone goals and like exciting things to look forward to. Like when you look at your year ahead, you're like, oh, I've got that concert, I've got that birthday, like da 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 da. The most important thing in life is actually just to figure out what your daily routine is and like what things you can do in your day that are just small, healthy habits that make you feel good. Yeah, it's like the little things, like they say. I just think you can't always just like look at life on like that massive major scale, just like hustle. So like it's great to hustle, but like life does move so fast. And if you just don't take the time to like work on your smaller daily things, life kind of just like catches up on you. That's when you get burnt out, things like that.
Yeah, and you're just in autopilot mode, which we were discussing earlier, how I feel like I've been lately. But yeah, I saw this quote the other day and it was like, your habits are the silent architects that make up your life.
Ooh, I like that.
And your routine, when you think about it, it's so true. Your habits, time you wake up in the morning, the habits that you do are what create your lifestyle.
No, I 100% agree.
Oh, I've actually really liked this episode. This has been really helpful and insightful.
Ash and I, really just wanted to touch base on this particular topic today. It's something we've had written down on our list for a long time, but feeling a bit passionate and inspired about this particular topic today. So hopefully you yeah, got something out of it. Maybe if you're not feeling super motivated at the moment, like just take the time to think about the things that are affecting you in your day to day and like the way you're setting up your week. Is that actually, you know, holding you back from achieving your goals and things like that? Like just need to kind of come back to those small stepping stones before you get to like, yeah, like your mountain goals, your bigger picture. Yeah. And if you want to hear more life advice from your 23-year-old besties, please let us know. We love doing like more real conversations, if that makes sense. Like we love obviously doing our fun episodes, but honestly today we were not feeling like laughing. We were like, no, like let's come at them with like a good topic. So yeah.
We will be back in your ears. I feel like I say that all the time, but it's true. We are in your ears. We are your virtual besties. We will be back with another episode next week, so please give this episode a nice 5-star rating if you've enjoyed, and don't forget to download and share with someone that you might feel that needs this episode.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We can't wait to talk to you soon.
Bye.